Good afternoon. I'm Matt.
And I'm Dave. Hello.
Hello, and welcome to this week's Mastermind, where we're going to be discussing the changing strategy for Amazon. Because out there, and again, this is extremely applicable for you, because out there, Amazon used to be just slap in your barcode, stick your price on, maybe do a repricer, job done. But actually, the grounding or the reality of what's going on today on Amazon is actually very different entirely. And again, this is on the back of Amazon announcing an absolute plethora of new devices out there. And no matter as much as Google says and Facebook says they're going to be doing home or audio devices which have like a shopping theme in them as well, the reality is that they're not really there in the equation at all, and Amazon is just storming on ahead. And again, just from my own personal buying habits over the last week or two, we'll also take a look at Amazon's choice as well, and what kind of impact that has, and also the impact of sponsored products as well based on Amazon too, and probably a collection of other things as well. So that's what we're going to be covering this week. Dave, should we jump in with the announcement of Amazon releasing a whole new plethora of items? Because it's not just one thing, is it? It's a whole collection.
No, this has been a very interesting one, because Amazon sort of caught us by surprise on this. We suspected, as always, that you will get your updated versions of your Amazon devices, of your Echoes and your Echo Lux and all the rest of it. Which is, like I said, to be expected. That's, they've done this every year now for the past 3 years, I believe. But actually what we got instead was, granted, some new Echo devices. We got a new Echo Dot, a new Echo Plus, an Echo Show. But then we also got some other devices. In fact, on the launch that happened last week, Amazon announced 8 new devices. So like I said, we had the Echo Dot, the Echo Plus, which is basically a smart home plug-in speaker thing, with the Echo Show, which has the screen. We have the Echo Auto, which is a new version of...
I really like that one. Yeah, I thought that was a really cool idea.
It's a very good idea. It basically allows you to have voice control in the car, which, again, makes perfect sense. Lots of, with phones and hands-free being much more frowned upon these days, then voice is the natural answer to that. The Echo Wall Clock was 5. The Echo Input, Echo Sub, Echo Link Amp, as well as then they also released a microwave and a smart plug. So Amazon have really gone a bit crazy over the past week with their new products, and you can guarantee that a large portion of Black Friday this year is going to be so focused around these devices, around the smart home aspect, and that led us on to the topic of today, which is, we have seen that we've seen for the past few years, obviously, Amazon dominated smart speakers. Alexa was the first one to the market. The last numbers that I saw showed Amazon in the UK and the US of having like a 70% market share of voice smart speakers. We'll call them that, voice activated devices. With the Google Home and the Google Assistant bringing in a second, but down under 20%. And I remember being at the conference, the Catalyst conference, earlier this year, and this was just after Jeff Bezos had announced, I think it was Q1 or Q2 earnings call, and he basically said Amazon Alexa and Echo is way overperforming what we anticipated, and we anticipated a lot. So you can expect us to double down massively on this. And I think this is now what we're seeing. We're seeing
double down.
Yeah. They've basically gone, right, push more into that. And it's incredible what we've seen. So this is brought on the topic of today of like the ever-changing strategy when it comes to Amazon, because we're seeing they are doubling down on voice big time. And what does that mean for you as a seller, as you know, and basically for the marketplace? Brings in a very interesting question, which we've not had to answer before.
Yeah, it is. It is a curious one. I think, Dave, you've said, and we all know that for a long period of time, that convenience always wins. And as much as that, some might have concerns over a microphone listening to what you're saying all the time, and I'm sure that some of you watched the video about dog food and the adverts which get shown, even though you're not getting picked up. Or addressing the devices directly. But the thing is that we already give away an awful lot of information about ourselves online, and to give away more via a microphone, if that makes sense, to a company like Amazon, which most of us trust to a relatively high degree, if it means that we can go, Alexa, order me some razor blades, for example, or a gaming headset, as the case may be, and then go in to confirm and get the items there. It's convenient. Again, if we take in the other things which Amazon has to offer, which is same-day delivery, I'm thinking that this morning I discovered my screen doesn't show in proper 4K because I'm using a smart port to a DVI connector. So it's actually only getting scaled. No wonder I couldn't tell the bloody difference between a 1080 screen and a 4K screen. It looks exactly the same because they were only just a little bit different. So when I was researching that this morning, realized I needed a DisplayPort to DisplayPort connector and a cable straight onto Amazon, same day delivery. It'll be here later this evening. Unreal. So it's not just, I think, Dave, it's not just the things which are changing device wise. I think it's consumers as a whole as well. And again, I'm foreseeing into the future to a certain degree. I've bought a couple of things on eBay in the last couple of months, but it doesn't compare in volume of value and number of orders which I've been made on Amazon.
No, I'm exactly the same. In fact, I couldn't even tell you the last thing I bought off eBay because Amazon is now just my go-to. I remember 2 years ago we were speaking about, it was being said that Amazon was becoming the product search engine. And now it's for me, it totally is. If I'm looking for a product, if I'm looking for something to buy, the first place I go is Amazon. Just because I know it's a number, it's all the factors that you take into account when you buy anything. It's the trust. I trust Amazon. I trust Amazon implicitly because I know that on the rare occasion of buying on Amazon over the past 10 years, they've got it wrong a handful of times, and each time I've been left to feel that they actually care and they've actually done something about the problem. And I've walked away from a potentially bad experience feeling quite good about it.
It's funny you should say that because I had a screw up recently when it came to Amazon, and I got a £5 refund because my item. This is, by the way, a massive tip for you: is that if you're ever buying on Amazon and it doesn't turn up next day, which you expect it to do, assuming that's what it says in the order, etc., etc., is that just shoot them an email, just shoot them a message, amazon.co.uk/contact us. That's the quickest way of getting into their contact system, and then message them and just politely ask, "Oh, I ordered this yesterday. I was expecting it today, or yesterday, as the case may be. Can you let me know when it'll be delivered?" And just be really, really polite in what you're saying. And I've had 3 months worth of Amazon Prime minimum, and then I had a £5 back, and that was only 2 weeks, no, less than a week ago. Which I had £5 back, which was automatically applied to an order when I made the next order. It's crazy. Also, just gone a slight tangent to Nick's what Nick's mentioned in the live chat, which is almost never buy from eBay anymore unless the price is dirt cheap. Or there's a caveat to that, which is unless the item is highly specialized. Because as you were saying, you can't remember the last time you bought on eBay. Well, yeah. I could. Which is that I bought some aluminium hop-up parts for a remote control car. And I bought those on the 7th of September. And they came direct from China. And yes, they were dirt cheap. And no, they were not available on Amazon. So that's why I got them from eBay. And there's been one or two other things, including a very suspiciously priced graphics card, which now we have had to remove this listing from the site. You're not required to complete the transaction if you've already sent payment, which I have. So I've already been in contact PayPal because it reeked fraud. But it was worth a laugh to see if it went through or not. So
you always feel protected with PayPal anyway, but I mean, and that's going back to Amazon. It's like the price. The price for me is often in a point where, is it worth the extra couple of quid to have it next or same day? Yes, it probably is, because it appeals to that instant gratification that we all now have. Here's an interesting, just to throw, this is slightly off topic, but to throw a spanner in the works regarding eBay. You just mentioned that your aluminium things came from China. And I think that's been a big problem for eBay for many years, is that they allowed Chinese sellers to almost mask their location and make it look like they were based in the UK or the US, when actually...
And that's still the issue today.
Oh, absolutely.
You go on there and then you realise that actually, no, even if you choose UK only, no, it's still being masked.
And that's the thing. And you have to pay very much close attention to the estimated delivery time. And for me, it's that messing with expectation. This goes back to last week when we were talking about the audiobooks with and Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People. His big thing was you manage expectation. You under-promise and over-deliver. And I think eBay have sort of got that the wrong way around right now. They're allowing, not eBay themselves, but eBay sellers, the Chinese guys, not to brand them all, but the ones that we all know about. They are over-promising by pretending to have a location in the UK and then under-delivering when you maybe miss it's going to be a 3-week delivery time. I'm actually seeing much more sort of clarity and transparency on Wish as a marketplace. Now, if you've never been over to the Wish marketplace, that's fascinating, because it's almost just like a prettier version of AliExpress, but you can buy one product. But in most cases, some products there are free. You just pay for shipping, and it'll take 3 weeks, 4 weeks for it to come because it's coming from China. But it's the expectation. The items are cheap. Your expectation is that they're going to be a bit shit, and it's going to take a while for it to get here. But when it comes and it's slightly better than what you're expecting, you actually think, oh, that's pretty good. So it's such a weird thing at the minute. eBay have got it slightly backwards. I think Wish is the one to sort of keep an eye on in the periphery right now, because they've flipped the eBay thing on its head and just been like, hey, we sell cheap shit, and it's going to take a while to get there, but it's free or it's cheap, and people it's one of those. If we've all been on holiday and bought £5 Rolexes and stuff, and you think, hey, for €5, it's all right, So it's playing to that psychology in your mind that you're getting a deal, you're getting a bargain. Whereas eBay, I think they've lost that.
I think you're somewhat right there, Dave. And you reminded me of watching a couple of YouTube channels about the bought XYZ from Wish. Is it as good as the seller?
There's some brilliant ones on there.
There's some brilliant ones, and actually sometimes it's quite surprising. Obviously, there's some terrible ones, but then also there's some really good ones too.
Yeah.
There's also another comment there, which again many of you know about my interactions doing YouTube with Banggood as well. There is a massive expectation that it's going to take an age to get to the UK, because again it's a Chinese-based site, but they have had very good customer service to go with it, and yeah. It is a kind of curious one. So eBay is getting hit from all angles, to say the least. Anyway, this isn't...
we've gone a bit off topic.
We've gone slightly off topic, but to get ourselves back onto topic, we were talking about convenience wins. And Amazon right now is winning hands down. I'm thinking yesterday, I had 2 gaming headsets turn up. You can't see them, but they're there for the kids to use. We bought one brand, one different brand, another one. One of them was glaringly lower quality. It was hard around the ears, didn't even fit the kids' heads properly. Plugged it in Windows, didn't even recognize it. Their software didn't work. Fill out the returns form. Woman collected this morning for free, and I'll get refunded later today. And I'd already been and bought the replacement set, there and then. I think that was the trust factor. Imagine trying to do that for eBay. You've been and received an item. You need to send it back to the seller because it's not what you expected. So you're going to have to pay for the item to get shipped back. And it's just all complete ball ache. Whereas the Amazon, it was just fill out the form, job done. And I knew the woman from My Hermes was going to turn up this morning, which she did. Handed the package, signed the thing away, and yeah. And then later, about an hour later, Mr. Amazon turned up with the other set, which I bought last night, which is just a good quality. So anyway, we've progressed.
I'm just going to say we've got a special guest in the audience. We've got Free from Mugento. He's just messaging in the background. He's saying the eBay has looked dead or dated for the last 2 years. Amazon gets expectation part hands down, and eBay now feels like you're dealing more with a car boot sale than a proper marketplace. He also says it's the best Mastermind he's watched in a while, but to be fair, he hasn't been on in a while. So, Free, thank you for joining, sir. Always a pleasure to have you here.
Right, should we get ourselves back onto the topic about chatting about an
Amazon strategy? What are we talking about?
Right, Amazon strategy. So we've kind of underlined like a customer service, a trusting, a delivery side as well. And this is all linked in. And by the way, I think it's also worth stressing is that out of every single item which I've personally purchased off Amazon, probably in the last 4 months, maybe more, because I really can't remember, have all the items which I've purchased from Amazon have been via FBA. And that's via Amazon Prime because of their ability. Oh, there's a caveat. I'll get to that in a second. Is because they are able to deliver the items extremely quickly to me as a consumer. Now, there was a caveat, was a gaming case for a new computer, and that got really expensive because the processor was 70 quid cheaper on Amazon if I was prepared to wait for them to come into stock. So I took a punt and saved 70 quid and then spent 800 quid on accessories to go with to build the computer. So I don't know where my value for money went with that one, but yeah, it got really expensive for saving 70 quid. Anyway, the case which I bought, I actually bought it on Amazon because it worked out cheaper to buy it on Amazon for $127.99 instead of buying it direct from overclockers for 100 and some odd pounds, and then they're shipping and it was like £3 cheaper to buy from Amazon, even though it was getting sent from overclockers directly. If that makes sense, it was cheaper to buy off Amazon than it was their own site. That's the only item which I can think of. That's it. The rest will come directly from Amazon. Where I'm going with that is FBA. Basically, as a consumer, I go in and tick Prime on the left-hand side, and if it's not a Prime item, I don't care about it. And it's the first question which I asked the missus. Cheeky cow, right? She was £170 for a pair of boots. She said they'll last me a lifetime. I said for £170, I expect they'll last everybody's lifetime. And they weren't Prime, so I said no, you're not having them because they're not Prime. But even the wife is now programmed to tick the Prime option on the left-hand side because she sees how quickly stuff turns up here from ordering it the day before. Because chances are she probably ordered it for me.
I tell you, that's the other thing. I can't remember the last time I bought something on Amazon that wasn't Prime, that wasn't FBA or
yeah, it's just that for me, it was that one case because it was cheaper and it was about £3 cheaper, something like that. It wasn't a great amount, but I'd obviously done my research, so I knew what was going on. So yeah, very curious. Anyway, we're talking about the Amazon products, and we are very sure we are not alone in doing this. I think this is the point we're trying to make. We're ticking Prime. We're looking for items which are in FBA and can get to us very quickly, and also crucially can go back very quickly as well. If, like, for example, literally only yesterday, opened a headset, it was shite. It went back, and it was no hassle. And I genuinely mean it was more hassle asking the missus to print the label off, which she bloody forgot again, and I had to go to the computer out here and print it off. And I hate printing stuff. I wish the woman would bring the piece of paper with her so she could stick it on the box, and I don't have to worry about the printer anyway. That's my only gripe which I've got about Amazon. I've got to print my own return labels.
Yeah, I mean, and this goes on to this ever-changing strategy with Amazon. So we've been saying for at least the past year, probably 2 now, that if you're selling on Amazon and you're not and you don't have some products in FBA, you're leaving money on the table. Now, I know there's ugly products out there where FBA just doesn't fit the bill, doesn't make sense financially wise. But
Computer cases is one of those.
Yeah, absolutely. Big, ugly products which take up a lot of room or are heavy. I get it. Not everything can go into FBA. But as a seller, you should have at least something in, not even in FBA, just with the Prime logo. So if you can fulfill by merchant, if you can meet the demands that Amazon put out there, then do it. Because basically having that Prime logo next to your item is dynamite right now. But this brings us on to the next subject of what we started talking about today, was these 8 or so new Alexa-inspired devices. Amazon's doubling down on voice, and that brings a whole new dimension, because all of a sudden you can't see what it is that you're buying. You've taken the images out of the equation now. So instead, you're relying on search. You're relying on Amazon to determine which product is the most relevant. And this can change the game. Now, obviously, with things like the Echo Look or the Echo Show, whatever it's called, where you have a screen, that's fine. But if you, for example, Matt might be driving home one day and notices his windscreen wipers, one of them's faulty, needs a new one. He's got one of the new Echo Auto boxes in his car, and he just says, "Hey, Alexa, order me a windscreen wiper for a BMW X5." And Alexa will come back and go, "How about this one? It's $29.99 from such and such a place. It'll be with you tomorrow." And Matt goes, "Buy it now." And next day turns up, he can fit his windscreen wiper. He's never seen.
It's exactly the same conversation which I have with the wife anyway, but without
exactly.
That it was going to be the right
was going to.
Yeah, she might actually listen to me, and I might actually send it to me.
But that's the thing. All of a sudden now you can't. Matt's not looked at a title. He's not looked at an image, a description. He's just going off what Amazon has determined from his voice command is the most relevant thing for his search. And that changes the game. And don't get me wrong, we're not saying right now voice is going to overtake traditional screen commerce for at least the next few years, but this is something which we have to be aware of. We have to start thinking, right, so how do we compete in this market? What are your thoughts, Matt?
That actually leads in hand. The link, I've just put a link in the chat, and look out for the item. So I've put a link to there, which is you can go onto your own Amazon site and do a search for gaming headset, because I think it's a prime example of what we did yesterday. And then also look out for the other one called Amazon's Choice as well. Now, this is very, very curious. You have the first one, which is the bestseller, which is not, I repeat, not the bestseller for that category. It's blatantly obvious that it's not the bestseller. I'm not even going to bother looking it up because it's only got 20 reviews on it. Compared to the item for me, which is just 2 items below, which has got 1,974 reviews on it. So bestseller is actuly a sponsored ad. So I'm kind of learning now as a consumer that when I see bestseller, I know it's a sponsored ad. So it's a little bit strange. But anyway, from a merchant's point of view, from your point of view, is that's great because it gives an extra like flag to your item with the items which you sponsor as product level ads on Amazon, and it will bump them up. And it's that extra little, not only higher in the search, which is absolutely key to making sales on Amazon, and there's many factors which can influence that. We're not going to go into all of them right now. I'm sure many of you can guess the kind of obvious ones like price, reviews, etc., and whether it's an FBA item or not. But sponsored allows you basically to queue jump and stick your item at the top and bid on keywords or relevant keywords for what the person's searching for. So in my case, or our case now, we're searching for gaming headset. Now you'll see that there's a whole collection on there, and all the top ones for me at least are all Prime. In fact, all the first page are Prime, which is no big surprise because the boxes are not very big. That's all. That's the size of the box. It's not very big. That's almost perfect size for Prime. It's 15 to 30 quid. It's not particularly heavy. It's not particularly big. And that would be perfect for Amazon Prime. Hence, that's probably why the entire first page is all Prime items. Anyway, get back to my point, which is that if you scroll down, you've got the bestseller ones in there, which actually, ironically, there's 2 bestsellers. So I don't know how that works out. But the other one is that you've got Amazon's Choice. So look out for the tag where you've got Amazon's Choice and then go and click into it. Now, this is really important for you to be aware of, is that this is a new flag which Amazon have added, and it's been around for about 2 months, probably a little bit more now. And it does have a big impact. Again, I'm looking at this from a buyer's perspective, from somebody who's unfortunately bought quite a lot of Amazon in the last couple of months at least. And Amazon's Choice does stand out a mile. And the one thing which, again, that I'm sure there's other rules which impact this, but the one thing which I've noticed is that it's very, very keyword sensitive. Okay, so we've got I've got here for a gaming headset it's by Be Excellent on here with 194 customer reviews, and it's Amazon's Choice for, and then you'll see they've got in inverted commas gaming headset. Now you can change that. You can play around with the word which you're looking for, and then change it to gaming headsets. So you change it to just adding a plural, stick an S on the end, and a different set turns up. So it's definitely keyword orientated, and it's definitely something which Amazon are playing with, because in an ideal world, if you were behind that, then headset and headsets would be exactly the same. But there's obviously a difference there, and they're promoting 2 different items or essentially the same keyword. Just one of them is a plural. And again, maybe they've put headsets on the end because it might be a business user which is then looking to buy more than one headset, as the case may be. There could be some psychology behind it, or it could just be as simple as people who would search for gaming headsets tend to end up buying the other one compared to just gaming headset for the single one. Very, very curious. That's as much as I've been in noticed myself as far as Amazon's Choice goes, is that it is for me almost 100% keyword specific, and generally the items which they're suggesting are pretty good. When I see like Amazon's Choice, I'll take a look at that one first and then compare it to the other ones, and it would have to be a feature, a color, or another option in a different item to make me choose something different. And if the other ones don't compare as well as or better than, I end up going back to Amazon's Choice. So yeah, Amazon's Choice, again, something which is new out there, is one of those things which is just changing it at ground level on the Amazon marketplace, and it does have a big impact. I know, because I'd look out for that flag myself to see what Amazon flags up.
And this brings me on to a very interesting thought process, because Amazon's Choice is obviously Amazon giving their sort of stamp of approval on your given search. Now, it stands to reason that if we were going to ask Amazon to recommend us our product, that they would recommend their choice to us, which just so happens to correlate fantastically with Alexa. That's exactly what we do. We say, Amazon, I'm looking for this, and they say, oh, try this. That's there. So are we going to see Amazon's Choice being pushed as the number one thing, or the number one product when you ask Amazon to find you something? And then that brought about a very weird question in my mind, is how much is that worth? If Amazon could sell that, if Amazon could say, so again, the dash buttons are a fantastic example of this. So you might have Persil washing powder, you might have Daz washing powder. If you said, Alexa, order me some washing powder, how much would Persil or Daz be willing to pay Amazon in order to be the Amazon choice? I know right now that's a brand, and traditionally we're dealing with retailers or merchants on the Amazon marketplace. But how much is that worth?
That's a really curious one, Dave, because how much is it actually worth, and how much would it affect their confidence if the item which then gets sent to them, and we do it, we imagine we do this for gaming headset, okay?
Yeah.
Using that example there. What happens if I was sent the new Bro W01, which was the best seller, which you all know which wasn't, for $22.99, but was the sponsored item with a low number of views, and we would send Amazon's Choice. Now, that's the caveat. Do you think Amazon would ever do that, send the sponsored item? Or
well, that's the curious thing.
You're basically comparing 2,000 views to 20, which is 10 times the amount.
And that's why I think Amazon's Choice is very curious, because it would appear that Amazon are willing to sell the tag bestseller to a sponsored listing, even though they know very full well that that is not the bestseller. But are Amazon willing to sell Amazon's Choice to a sponsored ad, or do they really risk the reputation of the Amazon name? So that's why I think the two have to be looked at from totally separate articles. Like if Amazon's willing to sell bestseller as a sponsored ad term, that's fine. And 100%, like if you haven't dabbled with sponsored ads or sponsored listings on Amazon, you definitely should, because I've seen the results myself. A lot of people can make a lot of money dabbling in that realm. However, Amazon's Choice is where this becomes sorry, Dale. I need to be very careful. Dear. So if Amazon's Choice is very weird because it's their recommendation. And actually, I'm just going to jump to Skype because I know Free just popped up there. Yeah, big decisions from Amazon. They would probably go with what they would have access to your previous order history and potentially be able to tailor a product to your previous order history. So if you've bought Persil before, they'll probably recommend you Persil. But what about a first-time order? They've got no information to go off.
That's the curious one. And again, I'm going to go back to the gaming headsets as an example, because I picked out the Razer ones, which were 80 quid, £79.99, pink headsets, two girls. I thought they'd absolutely adore them. They paid absolutely no attention to the price of them at all and went for two much cheaper headsets. Obviously, I'm very chuffed that they've chosen 20 quid headsets, and they can stamp on them several times to get anywhere near that cost. But if you compare to some of the other items which I've purchased recently, they have not been the cheaper ones and have definitely been branded items. So is that something which Amazon could take into consideration, that this person is looking for more budget options? This person is more of like a middle of the road person. So instead of the cheaper headsets, we go for a Logitech headset, which was, say, 33 quid. Or maybe this person's got a history of buying expensive gaming items, like got an RGB keyboard, for example, and they spent 140 quid on it, which I didn't. I spent 20 quid on mine, and go for a high-end pair and maybe go for the Razer 80 quid ones. That is a very curious one.
And it is because obviously Amazon have access to a lot of data, and it determines whether they're going to use that data well. Are they going to look at your average spend, trying to work out what sort of category you fall into in terms of disposable income, how much you spend on the website, and offer you an item that fits there? Ultimately, we don't know. We can only sort of hypothesize right now as to what Amazon are going to do, but this, again, bringing on to the topic of today's webinar, it is the changing strategy of selling on Amazon. Have you tried sponsored ads? Because more and more people are doing it and more people are making money doing it. Have you thought about, private label is potentially something which is going to become more and more important. Building your own brand, having your own brand name that ultimately you then aren't competing with others for the buy box. All of these are very, very interesting questions for an Amazon seller right now.
Yeah, I think what I'm trying to chuck in there as well is just don't just take our word for it. Mike was doing some research a minute ago that according to Jungle Scout, that your headset sold 1,114 units last month. And then the new Bro, the bestseller item, which we saw a few moments ago, sold again, according to Jungle Scout, sold 379 items in the last 30 days compared to, according to Jungle Scout. And they're not going to be that far off, to be honest. And because we're talking a 3 times difference, at least, maybe 4 times difference, that's an order of magnitude greater. So, yeah, bestseller smells a bit. But it is a tag which, like Dave said, or Amazon's willing to slap on there, which could put on your listings if it was your products which you're promoting, or depending on the product itself, Amazon may put their name to it themselves and say it's Amazon's choice, as the case may be. Now, there was also a really interesting comment on there, not only because Dell is going to get some DAS shortly, Alexa device. Sorry, Hobbybase says, sorry, a little off topic. I tried FBA again in August. One single great selling SKU was sent in and it accounted for 10% of our total Amazon sales for that month, which is happy days. And also to be somewhat expected. You've got an item which is already selling well. You stick it into FBA, it should peak. And again, this is something me and Dave have said for a very, very long time. You don't send all of your inventory into Amazon. You send the items in which you're pretty damn sure are just going to improve in velocity, and you need to check your own numbers and ultimately profitability for items which are going to sell quite quickly. Okay, so yeah, for about 10% of our Amazon total sales, that makes sense. Now, there was an extra comment on there. However, our total sales that month didn't increase at all. So that leads me to believe that there may be some algorithms in place to peg sales somehow. Now, that wouldn't surprise me at all. I don't think it would surprise you at all if there were rules in place to peg sellers within categories. We know that on eBay that sellers which have a long history of selling in a category will tend to do better than new sellers going into a category for the first time. That's been around for public knowledge for a very, very long time. A hypothesis which I've had for many years, which slowly got, it got proven to a degree with, was it in Israel, Dave, where that got proven to? There was a bit of a hoo-ha a while ago.
Yeah. I can't remember the details now, but yeah.
Yeah, it got semi-proven where basically eBay will keep a lot of people busy, but not keep one at the top. They like to keep a collection of busy people rather than favoring one seller. And that's why I've noticed for years over multiple businesses that how come they do the same every single month on month, with a bit up and down throughout the years, depending upon trends or buying seasons. It's very, very curious, and it's not normal. Maybe Amazon have twigged onto this to not lean on too many singular sellers too much and to spread across multiple sellers. And it's just straightforward risk management. Let's be fair, if you were in eBay's position or Amazon position, you would probably do exactly the same. Keep many people busy, but not tend to favor one
spreading the risk. It's exactly what we tell you to do. So eBay and Amazon are doing the same. But it's a fun one, because I remember back when I used to work for the electronics company, and there was a big change coming in regarding some titles, and we'd implemented them early. And we were selling it was a Toshiba Blu-ray player. I remember it well. And we were selling maybe 2 or 3 a day until one day we came in and we'd sold out. We'd sold 250 in about 8 hours on eBay, because when you did a search for Blu-ray player, our thing was now #1 at the top of the search, and we sold out. And we were quite a large business in the millions of turnover, but it was one of those. How could a smaller business have been able to cope with that demand? from going from 5 a day to 250 a day, you know, most businesses that aren't set up process-wise for that would have failed. And that would have resulted in missed orders, in a bad experience for eBay customers. And you got to think from an Amazon eBay point of view, are they controlling the flow a little bit? Are they making sure you grow at a steady rate rather than all at once you get Prime and boom, there's 1,000 orders, your business fails or your processes fail? I would say that Amazon or eBay would be quite wise in some, at least in some aspects, to have a control over how many sellers can get. If not for the reason of sharing and keeping more people happy, but just for keeping customers happy as well.
And just coming back to your comments, those of you which are on live here, is that Hannah says seller fulfilled Prime for the ugly products. Yes, voice relies on the Amazon Choice badge. That's what everyone should be targeting. Absolutely, I think Amazon's Choice does. Again, me as a consumer, I don't always buy Amazon's Choice, but I'll look out for that one as a reference. And I'm getting, again, there was somebody did a search, just, Mike again did a search for gaming headset for PS4, and he's absolutely right. I would have taken one. Well, it was a bit of an awkward one because I would have shown the kids that one and said, "What do you think of that one?" and given them like 2 or 3 other options instead. And whether it got out of that selection process is something different. But personally, now having to see the other ones, I think the ones which you got out are very, very similar. I'm just doing a like for like against the side from. Anyway, going back to your comments on that. The only way which I can, this is from James from a Hobby Base. The only way I can see to grow any business is through your own site. There is no way to grow on Amazon beyond whatever level they set. FBM, so fulfillment by merchant, or FBA, fulfillment by Amazon. It doesn't seem to make a difference. James, I totally agree with you. The most profitable part of your business should be, and probably always will be, your own site, because customers have come to you directly. Remember that phrase, have come to you directly. I think that's a massive step in the right direction, and then that does enable your site to be a massive asset for you and your business. And again, I want to go slightly off topic just very quickly. My kids have been, this is way off topic, but it'll come back full circle. My kids have been hammering me for them to do YouTube for months and months and months now. And I've finally given in. They've got two really good gaming PCs. They've got new headsets as well. And we've literally, as of yesterday, just started doing some video, starting recording some sessions with them. And the thing is that the bit which keeps in the back of my mind, it was number one, I needed to make sure that they had a desire to do this. And they go in eyes wide open, like, you're going to do a year, you need 1,000 videos, blah, blah, blah. And it's going to take a lot of work. And we've used the whiteboard to hammer out things like that. And they're going in eyes wide open. But I keep thinking back to myself, is that by the time, say, Abby's 16, for example, if she's got only, I'm going to say only 50,000 followers on YouTube, that is, or Twitch, or wherever we end up, that is an unspeakable benefit or asset to her personally, is to have a following which she can then go on. And as time goes on, things will, it's kind of a given that games will progress, people will progress and go into other things as well. And it's not like an instant change, like, oh, I'm talking about RC model airplanes today, and no, tomorrow I'm going to be talking about PC kit. It's not a big step. It's a gradual change which will happen over time. And to bring that full circle back around to James, is that you're absolutely right, because the website is people following you or the business, in inverted commas, and that is a massive asset. So that if you do change what you're doing over a period of time, say years, for example, so hobby base may turn into clay modeling accessories, I don't know, taking off a slight tangent, is that people are following you, not a third party. Okay. And being platform agnostic is also key to that as well. So eBay, Amazon, and your own site as well. It's not, oh, I'm only going to do my own site. It's not, oh, I'm only going to do Amazon because it makes it easier. Or I'm not going to do eBay because I really like customer service, and that's really sarcasm aside, is that you be everywhere, but one of them does hold your heart and is the one which you kind of know long term is the way to go, which is that it's great that Amazon will drive you squillion sales, etc., etc. But brand loyalty is the day when they come to you directly and order directly from your site. I think that is the big step forward. And I know some of you might disagree with me and just go, Matt, I don't care. Let me just send my stuff to Amazon. They'll do everything for me, and we have a few returns, blah, blah, blah. And that's great. I'm sure that's going to work for many, many thousands of people out there. But for me, and I probably James too, the website is where the real focus is, because that's the bit which will make you money long term. Okay. And yeah, so sorry, I've gone off on a slight tangent there. Maria says, I'm thinking, I think Amazon do have hidden agendas. That's why they're pushing SFP to clear warehouse space for what? Could just be a challenge with warehousing space, having dead stock. Remember, it was about a year ago that they were putting the prices up on long-standing products, which have been, I've forgotten the correct term which Amazon used for it, for basically stuff which has been in the Amazon warehouse for far too long. They started sticking the price up and then reduced the price for people to get it out. I think that's fair. Warehouse space is limited even on Amazon's capacity scale. And let's face it, they have been, if you look back at all the PR releases for Amazon over the last 2 years, new fulfillment center, new warehouse, new fulfillment center, all across the globe. It's been a ton in the US. There's been several here in the UK, and I'm sure it's the same over in Europe as well.
I think on that, just to add to that as well, the news about a month ago was that Amazon had just bought 20,000 Mercedes vans in the US.
Loads.
Yeah, incredible investment into, vans, into logistics. So are we going to see, right now Amazon sort of have third-party man in a vans going doing the driving for Amazon logistics? Are they going to bring this in-house, proper Amazon logistic vans? This, and then does having seller fulfill Prime, does that then mean fulfilled by merchant? Amazon vans could come and pick up from your location and do, who knows? But
there's loads of potential there. Just going into the vans point of view, they did order a shed load, but then at the same time, they were pushing the business owners, which would then have several drivers working for them, and they could earn up to $300,000 a year and things like that. That was an article which I read as well.
Yep.
But that was kind of curious. I'm sure Amazon have bought that many because they then know it's a known entity, as in it's a semi-good quality vehicle. And I'm sure there's ramifications which go along with that, leasing to the third parties for the actual delivery of their products and so on and so forth, servicing and things like that as well. So I'm sure it wasn't just the purchasing of the product.
Oh, no. I mean, Amazon don't do anything small. We're talking billionaires here. So their idea of playing is buying 20,000 Mercedes vans. So, yeah, I mean, going back to Maria's, do Amazon have hidden agendas? Absolutely. They'd be ridiculous if they didn't have a hidden agenda, if they didn't have a plan for what was coming next. And I remember a few months ago, I had numerous UE guys messaging me, emailing me, ringing me, saying, is this a scam, blah, blah, blah. No, Amazon were just ringing them all, trying to get them all on Seller Fulfill Prime or Fulfilled by Merchant. So, yeah, there was a big push for it a few months ago. It all seems to have died down a little bit now, but yeah, they really were pushing SFP, and as with everything Amazon does, there will be a reason for it, but we don't always get to find out until they push the button on whatever it is.
Sorry, I've not realised this. You got something. I just know I'm on a website called Cloud Commerce Pro because I was just googling what Mike had said about on there, which was that they've just launched a program with DPD. Again, I'm a big fan of DPD.
Yep.
Relatively cheap, good notifications. The only screw up which I've had from like a consumer's point of view, which is that one of the lads' barcode readers didn't work 3 days ago for a new PC build, which we was doing, or a couple of days before that, and I didn't get any notifications. It didn't even look like it had left its warehouse in Emerson's Green. So I rang them up, can I come and collect? And literally about an hour later, the bloke had turned up and just said, apologies, my scanner's just not working. Besides that, DPD, just like great value for money, simple tracking, and it's just, for me, a cheaper version of Parcelforce with similar quality and better online tracking. Anyway, coming back to my point is that I ended up on there and they got seller fulfilled Prime, which is a bit of a play on which is just seller fulfilled with a decent tracking method, which we all know blatantly isn't Royal Mail first class or second class. So yeah, that tickled me a little bit. Anyway, Dave, we've been here chatting for 50 minutes. Amazon is, and it is time for us to wrap up. Amazon is a continuously changing marketplace. It has proven to be a place where it will change and adapt on its own whim, generally speaking, because of its focus towards the end customer. And as you may have realized from this conversation, that you are dealing with two very big advocates of Amazon. From a consumer's point of view, because it just makes things easier. Remember that thing about the headset? The one set I got was just crap. And my biggest gripe is that I had to print my own label off, and the woman still came to my door and collected it from me. We didn't have to go to the post office or wait several days for a reply in some terrible, in a messaging system. There's a lot of confidence there. Amazon would have to screw up really, really badly to lose that kind of buyer confidence, like many times over. They'd have to have like just a knock-on effect of just many things falling over for them to put themselves in any form of jeopardy, which I don't foresee would happen. And from a buyer's perspective, it is a lot easier compared to other marketplaces out there. And we spoke about other options which are out there. We spoke about Wish, we spoke about Banggood, we spoke about eBay as well, and the options which buyers have. And when they buy from, say, Wish or Banggood, they know it's going to take bloody ages to turn up. It's part of the excitement that I'll buy it today, and it's really is delayed summer holidays. Gratification for the items to turn up. We also heard and saw that Amazon bringing out a whole new arsenal of voice-enabled devices, collection of home devices. They was even doing a microwave. I don't know why, but hey ho, just random items. But it really does kind of point like hammer home, like even what Dave was saying. Amazon previously said that this voice stuff, we had high expectations, and Amazon said that it exceeded even their high expectations. So they were going to do some more about it, and they've just proven they're going to do more about it, and a whole plethora of new items which have come out. And they are thinking practically in the car. I think it's great. Alexa, order me some new wiper blades. I think it's kind of like a no-brainer. And how many times you sat in traffic and you think to yourself, oh, and it's way safer than going to your phone out and typing into your missus. No matter how good the voice one is, it always gets Marrow wrong. Put something else in there. When you want it to say Marrow, it comes out with Barrow. It must be my Bristolian. But you could then have a chat with the woman on your dashboard instead and get the things, and it's kind of like done and dusted. We also spoke about what did they label it? I didn't even.
Bestseller and Amazon choice, yeah.
Bestseller, which was linked into the product level advertising, which is the one which you can bid in and promote your own items on Amazon with, and they will go as far as putting that little orange tag in the corner, which does stand out. Again, I'm just using the gaming headsets. It does stand out a mile, and there's 2 bestsellers in that one. So they're willing. Amazon is willing to pimp themselves out many times with even the first product page. You've got Amazon's Choice, which Hannah pointed out, which was the one which you really need to be after. But then again, I don't know the exact factors which are impacting this. The only thing which I can tell you is the products which get Amazon's Choice on genuinely have really good reviews, have been on Amazon for a while, good pricing compared to other items which are from the results, and are definitely keyword orientated, because there's even a difference between gaming headset and gaming headsets. By adding an S, making turning the word into a plural, does change the Amazon's Choice which they suggest. So it could be because they're trying to switch sales across items and not ram one to the top just in case it ever gets lost or things like that.
I also wonder if there's the ability for geolocation to play a part in this as well. If you in Bristol would see a different Amazon Choice to what I would see in Manchester, as opposed to Mike over in Yorkshire, or whoever.
Oh, totally.
It would make perfect sense to share sales locally, because again, that's more likely to tie into your same-day delivery with Prime, perhaps. Yeah, Amazon's Choice doesn't necessarily mean it's the same choice for everyone. It's just a choice for you. So again, that's an interesting take on Amazon's Choice. But I still believe there's definitely scope for Amazon to manipulate that for their own financial gain. Not saying they are, just saying I probably would.
Yeah, we got to be honest there. We had that blatant conversation, yeah. and we know that in your heart of hearts, and you had the ability to tinker results and bias them in your own favor. Reality is, you probably would.
Yeah, if I had Kleenex coming up to Amazon saying, "Hey guys, do you reckon these Kleenex tissues could be Amazon's Choice for 100,000?" Like, yeah, why not?
It's just the way it is. There's not much we can argue with that one. Right, let's have a quick look. Hobbybase says, anyone here at Olympia on Thursday? If you are going to Olympia, it looks like James is going up. Maybe shout in the comments afterwards. The live stream is over. And Dale says, Argos do stock in areas. One thing which... no, that's off topic. I was going to talk about Screwfix because they've got multiple locations, but they don't change your choice based upon where you are. You go in and choose where you'd like to go and get it, or get options to go and choose it from a different store if they don't have it in your preferred one, which is actually very, very handy. Anyway, it is time for us to wrap up. Amazon is a playing field which is changing definitely faster than eBay, for sure, at the moment. And again, you must be thinking to yourself, because we from what we spoke about at the very beginning, is that we still recommend that you sell on eBay for sure. Absolutely. Categorically. Even when we were chatting about with James and his site, is that eBay, Amazon, and your own site are absolute no-brainers for you to be to leverage. And again, don't forget, eBay does port your data does port internationally very, very quickly as well. Australia, no-brainer. United States, Europe-ish. Remember, we don't normally suggest Europe because of the whole plethora of different languages, whereas English is great for Ireland, into the US, and then down to Australia as well. Do those three kind of places first, and then think about if you've exhausted those to the max, then go into Europe, which does provide many challenges as far as languages go. Yes, don't mention the eBay catalog. We don't even want to mention that one. It's still very much a work in progress. It's blatantly obvious it's a work in progress for eBay. And anyway, coming back to our topic, Amazon. There's a lot of stuff going on there. And if you've not looked at Amazon recently, definitely go and have a quick look now. Go and do a search for gaming headset and see what we mean about bestsellers or Amazon's Choice. And then go and do a search for your own products and see what Amazon's suggesting. If one of your products or one of the products which you have available to you is turning up for an Amazon Choice product, that should be sending alarm bells off in your head. Jesus, I need to get a couple of those in FBA and see what happens. So actually, maybe that's a nudge for Mike, who we were chatting to in the live chat a few minutes ago, is that, Mike, go and have a look on Amazon, see if you can find a couple of items which are selling okay for you already, and see if they turn up in Amazon's choice and things like that. And then maybe, look, obviously don't sell all your stuff in, just pick one item and send a couple in and see how it does. Because it's just like using Google AdWords for the first time, isn't it? We don't suggest you go and spend $5,000. We go and say, you're going to spend a tenner a day and see how you get on. And then that way, worst case, at the end of the week, you spent 50 quid and actually learn shed loads on what's working, crucially, what's working, and also what is not working as well, as the case may be. So on that note, it is time for us to wrap up. Give you a quick heads up. Me and Dave, we are going to have a discussion, and we're going to work out what the topics are going to be for the next month or two, and we'll get those pre-booked into YouTube for you, so that it shouldn't be any big surprise what we're going to be covering, and we'll get that done between now and the time we go live next week as well.
Indeed.
Brilliant. If you've enjoyed this live session, do us a favor, hit the thumbs up. If you have any questions or comments about what we've been uncovered here in today's mastermind, you can either leave a comment in the comment section underneath this video on YouTube, or you can find myself and Dave over on understandinge.com. On that note, from myself, Matt.
And from me, Dave.
Cheerios.
See you next week, guys.
Bye-bye.